Hello, welcome to my Facebook Live series. I'm Kristin Grayce McGary, and I'm an integrative and holistic healthcare provider. I'm a licensed acupuncturist, I'm certified in functional medicine, advanced craniosacral therapy, somato-emotional release, homeopathy, many tools in my toolkit, like neural therapy, perineural injection therapy, lifeline technique, guided meditations, cacao ceremony combo, tons of cool things. And I'm here to inspire and empower you around all things health and wellness, mind, body, and spirit. I started off in Western medicine and became really ill myself. And through my own healing journey, discovered Asian medicine, functional medicine, osteopathy, homeopathy, electrodermal screening, apitherapy, many different therapies, and decided to shift gears from Western medicine. I was an EMT, nationally board certified, and spent time volunteering and working in emergency rooms, an emergency room. And that shift was really huge for me. And I've told my story before on Facebook Live in little snippets, so perhaps coming up I'll tell my full story. But today, I want to touch on one of my most favorite topics, which is the thyroid gland. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is because I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And I went misdiagnosed and undiagnosed for years. And I suffered a lot unnecessarily. I believe that all the doctors I was working with, both Western trained as well as more alternative or holistic, functional, I really went to pretty much everyone. And I went to some of the best in the field. As a healthcare provider, I had access to some of the best in the world. And nobody could figure it out. Nobody checked my blood. Nobody checked my antibodies. And finally, a naturopathic colleague of mine did. And it took years to get one person to check this. No one did a full thyroid panel. But finally, we discovered that I had an autoimmune issue. And then it was like, how am I going to peel that label off of my head? And I won't go more into that story, but this is why I am so passionate about the thyroid, is because I suffered so much unnecessarily. And so today I want to share with you all things thyroid, the best I can in about 20 minutes. If you have specific thyroid questions, now's the time to type them into the comment box. I'm doing my best to go back to all the old videos and look for comments, but sometimes I can't find them. So it's a little weird. I have issues with technology. I'm working on harmonizing that. In the meantime, if you ask me a question and I don't get back to you, will you please direct message me privately or go to my website, guthappyketo.com, and fill out an optimal wellness consultation form. It's complimentary. Write in there that you have a question that didn't get answered. Just please reach out to me. I'm not ignoring you on purpose, but sometimes I'm not seeing all the questions right away. So thyroid gland, why is this such an important gland? I'm going to talk to you about what it is, what it does, symptoms if you have problems with it, and how to heal it, how to test for it properly, and then multiple ways to heal with it. Now, I believe in an individual approach, a patient-centered approach, and so I can't give you the magic pill because I don't know what's going on exactly with you. Until I understand that, I'm putting generalizations out there, so bear with me because I think it's important. Okay, now your thyroid gland usually sits just below your Adam's apple. There are times during our evolutionary development when we're in utero, it can be up or down or further back or even in our chest, but that's very rare. So this thyroid gland is in charge of your metabolism. It's like the furnace in your body that warms you up and helps you digest and metabolize things. It's so important. Did you realize that every single cell in your body, that's like trillions, are dependent on thyroid hormone, and how your thyroid functions impacts every cell and every system in your body. It is so important, and it's so tiny, muy pequeño. It's usually like less than an ounce in weight. And there are 2 different lobes of your thyroid. And then there's parathyroid with that as well. It's just so beautiful. So not only is it like your furnace in your house, but it also does something that almost no one talks about. And I want to share this with you because this is so key. Have you heard of epigenetics? Epigenetics is this incredible field of science that has proven that what you eat and your environment, the toxins you're exposed to, the stress, your relationships, the food you eat, the water you drink, all impacts your genetic expression. This is so cool, and I'll tie it into thyroid in a second. So you have a lot more power than you may have thought over your genetics. Just because you have a gene that might be programmed for an illness does not mean you have to turn that gene on. That how you think, how you live, how you eat, how you exercise actually impacts how your genes express themselves. Well, I have a secret for you. Are you ready? On your DNA, there is a receptor site for T3 hormone. That is a thyroid hormone. And if you don't have enough T3 in your body, it impacts your genetic expression. That's huge, huge. It's huge for today, and it's huge for your health future. So thyroid hormone is super important, like super important. Now, basically, the thyroid gland is the only part of your body that really absorbs the most iodine. And it's a common therapy to give people who have low thyroid or wonky thyroid iodine. And that may or may not be good for them. If someone is predisposed, now listen, this is like huge and nobody's talking about this. If someone is predisposed to an autoimmune disease, if they have predictive antibodies, which very few people understand how to test for, I do. If you have questions, ask me in a direct message. If you're predisposed to autoimmune issues and you take a bunch of iodine or potassium iodide, you could trigger an autoimmune response. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And there are doctors that overdose with iodine and they cause people to go to bed and feel horrible for days to weeks to months. So be careful. Please work with a trained holistic healthcare provider that gets these details so you don't get hurt or hurt yourself by going to the grocery store and popping iodine because you think it's what Google told you to do because someone mentioned you might have hypothyroidism. Now, some people do really well with iodine. I like potassium iodide. I like a solution called Lugol's solution. There are different options. And some people who cannot take it orally can put it on their skin, and it will get absorbed from their skin. You can put it on the bottom of your foot, which in foot reflexology, this is throat thyroid area. You can put it on the crease inside your arms or the back of your knees. And again, please work with a healthcare provider. Please reach out to me if you're looking for support for your thyroid. GutHappyKeto.com is my website. Please don't go messing around with this yourself. I really want you to be empowered with information and listen to your body, but don't make yourself a guinea pig when there's information, testing, and resources that can guide you based on your biochemistry. Okay, thyroid and iodine. We addressed that a little bit. Now, the thyroid gland mostly makes T4 hormone, mostly. Now, it makes T3 a tiny bit, but mostly it's T4. Now, T4 must, this is a hormone, thyroid hormone, T4 must be converted to T3. This is so important. If you don't convert your T4 to T3, you're not going to have enough T3. And that's going to influence how your furnace runs, your metabolism, your digestion, your hormones, your brain function, and how your genes express themselves. T3 is so important. And if you're not converting it, Your doctor may not even know. They may not even be aware if you're converting it. Would you like to hear why? I'm going to guess you will. The reason is because they're not testing for conversion. Let's talk a bit about lab testing, and then I'll go back to the conversion piece, because there are 3 places in your body where you will convert T4 hormone to T3 hormone, and that's really important that those 3 places are functioning properly. I'll tell you those in a second. Let's go to the testing piece. How come your doctor or your naturopath or your osteopath or whoever's doing your labs only order TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, and maybe, if you're lucky, 2 or 3 other tests? Maybe you'll get a free T4, free T3. Maybe you'll get a total T4. Maybe you'll get a total T3. Maybe. But guess what? There are 10 tests for your thyroid. 10! And they're all very important. And from that entire panel, I can tell how and if you are converting your hormones well. And guess what? That tells me about these 3 other areas in your body to check out. And when I do a comprehensive panel, those 3 areas of your body are in that comprehensive panel. So I can tell if you're converting where, when, and how, and if not, what to do about it for your biochemistry and your body. That is huge. I love my endocrinologist colleagues. They are brilliant, and I have to literally twist their arm, and usually they still won't order a comprehensive thyroid panel. And it's not because they're not brilliant. It's not because they don't care. It's because they lack the training to understand the importance, because they are bound to a standard of care that says if your TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is off, if it's too high, we must give you a T4 hormone supplement, and it's usually synthetic. So they don't care why it's off. That's not in the scope of their practice or training. They do care about you, but that's not part of the Western sick care model. Fortunately, we have access to proper testing and people who have the education to understand how to interpret these labs in a comprehensive and very holistic way so that you get the answers you deserve finally, and you don't have to suffer like I had to suffer for years before I understood functional blood chemistry analysis, before I understood thyroid, before I understood how to properly test the thyroid. So this is so cool because you could save yourself from slipping through the cracks of Western medicine when it comes to your thyroid. It's so huge. So huge. So these 10 markers of thyroid function tell me so much about what's going on in your body. It can tell me if you have high levels of endogenous or exogenous estrogen. That means if you were around putting your food in plastics or plastic bottles, water bottles, or if it's in your food or your environment, I can often tell from a thyroid panel if it's accumulated. I can tell whether you have high cortisol and out of balance hormones or stress response from a full thyroid panel. I can tell how you're converting that T4 to T3 and what you may need. See, iodine is not the only thing thyroid needs. Thyroid also needs L-tyrosine, which is an amino acid. But not everybody does, and not everybody processes it properly, and not everyone understands where to get a good quality. But that's not all. Thyroid needs other things as well, like selenium. And what kind of selenium should you get? There are many kinds out there, and the body doesn't love them all. There's very specific selenium. I'll give you a tip. One is called selenomethionine. This is a good selenium for the body, but are you actually able to absorb it and use it? Can your healthcare provider tell that? These are very important questions, and these are the kinds of questions I'm used to dealing with. Really diving deep to get to the root of what is going on in your biochemistry. So if it's thyroid, why is it thyroid? What's going on with your body that your thyroid isn't working? Rather than only treating a symptom, I want to ask the tougher questions, the deeper questions, the health detective questions, so that you are informed and we take the guesswork out of your healthcare and out of your thyroid health, your metabolic health. All right, let's talk about the conversion of T4 hormone into T3. Anyone have any guesses as to the 3 places where this conversion takes place? Go ahead and type it into the little chat box if you have any guesses on where in your whole body do you convert T4 hormone to T3 hormone. Any guesses? Go ahead and type those in. Before I answer that question, I'm gonna talk about thyroid health and food, nutrition. You may not have heard this before, but gluten is one of the #1 foods for turning on an autoimmune disease, whether it's in your thyroid or anywhere else. And there is a stack of Western medical research proving it. And if your doctor or you or your family member or your partner poo-poos gluten and says, oh, that's just foo-foo, woo-woo, that's not based in science, they have not read their research. And I would lovingly tell them so. And then show them 350 slides gathered from some of the most prestigious research-based, I'm looking for a word, medical printed research on the planet. These medical, sorry, I'm looking for the words. I lost it. I got so excited. Medical journals, that's what I'm looking for. So there is peer-reviewed, published medical journals that have done the gold standard of research and proven that gluten influences so many health issues and above all, autoimmune diseases. It causes massive inflammation, not only in your gut, people, and not only if you have celiac, and not only if you have non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Humans are not built to digest gluten. It's just, you're not built for it. And if you have the teeniest, weeniest predisposition to an autoimmune issue, if you have the teeniest, weeniest gut damage, which almost every single person on the planet has, it can flop up your immune system and make it all wonkadoodle and cause an autoimmune disease to take hold. So, food is important. I want to bring up another food because so many people, and I am so sorry vegans and vegetarians, but soy is goitrogenic. This means that soy turns your thyroid off for hours. This is so unhealthy for you. Please, the whole soy thing has got to stop. Not only is soy estrogenic, it increases your estrogen and it lowers your testosterone, which is not good for any female or male. It also turns your thyroid off. And we just talked about how important your thyroid is for your metabolism, for your brain function, for your hormone balance, for your genetic expression, for your immune function. It's so important. We do not want to turn this beautiful gland off. We want it to be harmonized and balanced and functioning optimally. Okay, that's my rant on soy and gluten. There are other foods that can be a real problem for thyroid. Now, depending on what's going on with your thyroid, raw cruciferous veggies can be really hard on your thyroid. They're also goitrogenic. Now, if you cook them and steam them or stir fry them, more better. Then it's much easier on your body. It's less goitrogenic, less impact on thyroid, and you can get nutrients from it, which you need. Those are important. So what are cruciferous veggies? Broccoli, cauliflower, collard greens. These kinds of things are the cruciferous Brussels sprouts. You don't want to do those things raw if you have thyroid stuff. Now, nobody has guessed yet the 3 places in your body where you convert T4 hormone to T3. I'm going to give you another second, and I'm going to talk about something else and see if you have any guesses, and then I'm going to answer that question. There are 2. Hi, Anita. Good to see you. Welcome. There are 2 kinds of thyroid disorders. There's more than 2, but I'm gonna There are several, but I'm going to take two extremes. There's hypothyroidism. That means thyroid is low. There's hyperthyroidism, which means thyroid is high. Thyroid is high. So you could be juggling either extreme. Understand, about 97-98% of all thyroid diseases are autoimmune in nature. If you haven't had your antibodies checked, and not only once, multiple times, and possibly even had a predictive antibody test, which most people don't even understand or are aware of, then you could have an autoimmune issue and it may not being addressed properly. And that means you're having damage done to your thyroid or other parts of your body day in and day out without you even being aware. And you could be preventing that damage right now. Starting right now, you could be preventing that. I wish someone had told me that 13 years ago, 14 years ago, 15 years ago. I really wish someone had told me that and someone had guided me early on that journey. And what I learned is that it's never too late. So even if you haven't had that, even if you've had mysterious symptoms, even if someone said you might have thyroid stuff, or someone said you don't have thyroid stuff because they only tested 2 or 3 markers and it looked okay, or it fell within normal, doesn't mean you don't have thyroid stuff. There's still hope. And your body is designed to heal and regenerate and be whole right now. So reach out to me, guthappyketo.com, or direct message me if you've been on a frustrating thyroid journey. If you're taking thyroid medication, it may or may not actually be appropriate for you. If you have an autoimmune disease, there are certain medications you should not be taking that are standard issue for thyroid, and they can actually make it worse. They can make your body continue to damage your thyroid instead of prevent it, halt the damage, and help you regenerate and heal. And that's something really important to understand, that most doctors and endocrinologists don't get that. So important. Okay, so there's hypo and there's hyper. And you can have autoimmunity at both ends. When it's hyper autoimmunity, it's Graves' disease. When it's hypo autoimmunity, it's Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Now, a tricky thing with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, sometimes it'll pop up to be hyper and come back to hypo. Hyper, hypo, hyper, hypo. And then you're on a roller coaster of symptoms and stress and sleeplessness and exhaustion and hair falling out and thinning eyebrows and weight gain and heart palpitations. And it's miserable. Miserable. All right. No one's guessed. Okay, I'm going to share. The 3 places where you convert T4 to T3 are your liver, your gut, and your peripheral tissues. These are the 3 places. So if you've got gut stuff, which almost every single person does, and if you have liver stuff, which many, many, many people do, then you may not be converting your hormone well from T4 to T3. And I've said twice now how important T3 is, because it impacts every single cell in your body. Trillions of cells, your metabolism, your furnace, your brain chemistry, how you digest your food, the amount of HCl you make in your gut. There is a T3 component to that. How you absorb your nutrients, there's a T3 component to that. How your immune system works, there's a T3 component to that. How you balance your hormones, there's a T3 component to that. And how your genes express themselves, T3 component to that. So if you have gut stuff, you have liver stuff, if you have issues with peripheral tissue and absorption, different things, you may not be converting T4 to T3 well, and your doctor will not even understand. They will not see it, they will not check it, and even if they did order the right test by chance, they would still be comparing you to reference ranges on the right-hand side of your lab that are compared to sick people. That's not a true marker of health. Those reference ranges are compiled from mostly sick people, or a textbook from 20 years ago, or a lab test insert from 20 years ago. That's a real problem. That's a real problem. So even if we got a doc to do the right test, which would be 10 thyroid tests, they often wouldn't understand how to properly read it. I see people all the time that have subclinical thyroid issues and no one's addressing it. No one's helping them prevent suffering. And it's like, I'm always shocked. And I always want to help and pick up those pieces for you and give the power of your health back into your own hands so that you can prevent your own suffering. And part of that is with information. Okay, we have talked a lot about thyroid. I'm curious if anyone has any thyroid questions. Go ahead and type them in now. If you're listening to a replay, I will do my best to get back and check all the videos, but I'm having issues sometimes seeing all the comments. So if you don't hear from me, please direct message me. Please, please, please. Or go to guthappyketo.com and reach out to me there. I want to share a couple of symptoms of thyroid issues so that you have something to go by when you're considering to reach out to me and maybe get some labs done, or have me look at your current thyroid test or current labs, or do a consult to do the health detective deep dive and see what we can find out and what's in the root, what's underneath. So a couple of symptoms: hair loss, thinning of the outer eyebrows. I'm so proud. I used to have even thinner outer eyebrows, and I have been growing them back. Very, very proud of myself for that. The body can heal. Very cool. Weight gain, or if you have weight, extra weight, and you just can't lose it, thyroid can be part of that. Infertility. If you're trying to get pregnant and you just can't, thyroid can be part of that. If you wake up in the morning and you feel sluggish, thyroid can be part of that. If you feel depressed or anxious, either side of the spectrum, thyroid can be part of that. If you feel a lot of gas and bloating, especially after you eat, thyroid can be part of that. If you notice that your libido is a bit low, thyroid can be part of that. If your skin, hair, or nails are very dry, thyroid can be part of that. If you feel you have a crash in energy at the end of the day, and at the end of your day you're just dragging, exhausted, thyroid can be part of that. If you notice you have low motivation to do anything, thyroid can be part of that. If you feel your hormones are off, and maybe you're moody and crabby and moody, and then blissfully happy, and then moody again, and angry, and then happy, and then thyroid can be part of that. If you have very cold hands and feet, and you freeze, you have to have many layers on, and wear socks to bed at night, and cuddle up to your partner or your doggy or your kitty because you're freezing and they happen to be a furnace heater for you, it's very likely you have thyroid imbalances, even if it's subclinical, even if no one's told you. Very, very likely. If you take your body temperature and you're below 98.6, you likely have a subclinical thyroid issue. And you may have never been told that, but it's true. Some people are just told, oh, you just run cooler. Oh, yeah, it's just how it is. No, that is not acceptable. It's actually very important to keep your body temperature at 98.6. That's very important for your metabolism. It's very important for digestion. It's very important for enzymes and these biochemical processes in your body to occur properly. You need a certain body temperature. And if you're chronically low, guess what? You're going to have issues metabolically. And those need to be addressed. Okay, I want to talk for just another minute on thyroid and what signals the thyroid to work. It's the pituitary gland, which some people say is the master gland. Now, your pituitary gland secretes thyroid stimulating hormone. When doctors and your endocrinologist test your thyroid and they're testing TSH, please understand your thyroid does not make TSH. Your pituitary gland makes TSH, and that signals your thyroid to do its job properly, to either amp up production and throw more logs on the metabolic fire, or to bring it down. Now, pituitary is not the end of the line. What signals the pituitary gland to signal the thyroid gland to do all this cool stuff? The hypothalamus. And this is so important because so few doctors, endocrinologists, osteopaths, chiropractors, functional medicine doctors are addressing the hypothalamus. This is very important in order to get to the root of thyroid imbalances. Next, the emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of thyroid and autoimmune. This is huge, huge. I'm going to do a whole Facebook Live on autoimmune and some of the emotional and psychospiritual aspects of it. But for now, I want to bring your attention to your thyroid and your throat. This is the avenue of expression, according to Dr. John Upledger, who is a grandfather of advanced craniosacral therapy of osteopathy. And this avenue of expression, this is also, in Eastern philosophy, your throat chakra. So this avenue of expression is so important emotionally, spiritually, energetically. It's not only physical. And if you were unable to fully express yourself as a child, if you experience trauma around your voice and self-expression, then you may have issues with thyroid. And if you don't deal with some of those underlying emotional, psychospiritual issues, you could work with the thyroid gland all day long and take all the right things and do all the right things, and you may not get the effect that you desire. So it's super important to work when you're working with a functional doc or you're working with anyone else. If you choose not to work with me, please make sure you're addressing the psychospiritual, emotional aspects and the ancestral patterns that go with it. Everyone on my mom's side of the family has thyroid. My grandmother had a goiter. There is an ancestral thing, not only genetic, because this doesn't show up, thyroid doesn't show up in my genes. It's crazy. I thought for sure it would. I thought autoimmunity was going to show up in my genes. I thought thyroid, no, nothing. Nothing around thyroid or autoimmunity shows up in my genes, according to 3 different gene testing organizations. Nada. So it's not genetic, so to speak, but it is lineage. There is something I've been carrying from my matriarchal lineage, and it's really important to do that level of the work as well. Hi, Denise. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Denise is talking about her body temperature at 97.6. That's too low, my friend. Sister Goddess, we got to amp that up. We need to turn your metabolic fire on. And the question to ask is, why is your body temperature so low? Why is your thyroid and other aspects of your metabolism not working optimally? We need to boost that. We need to find out why it's not working optimally and what's going to be best for your biochemistry to turn that on and get things working properly. Okay, any other questions, my friends? All right, so brought in pituitary, hypothalamus, talked a bit about testing, talked about hypo, talked about autoimmunity briefly. I'm going to talk more about autoimmunity another time and the psychosomatics of that. We talked about psychosomatics of throat chakra, of this avenue of expression, of suppression or oppression of your voice, of your truth, of your emotions. If you've been swallowing your emotions, swallowing your truth, it can cause thyroid issues. So it's really important, no matter who you work with, to do the underlying work and ask those difficult questions of why and how did this come to be? What happened in your life in your mind, in your thinking, in your patterns, in your habits that allowed a manifestation of such an imbalance to be. All right, we have covered all things thyroid. So fun. Thank you so much for joining me. And please reach out to me on my website, guthappyketo.com, guthappyketo.com. I have blogs, I have recipes, I have lab information. You could sign up for a consult with me. I'm offering for a very limited time a 1-hour consult for $197. Normally it's $497. This is huge. I'm doing this because of the pandemic. I'm doing this because so many people are reaching out to me saying, please help me. They are ready to level up. So if you are ready for an upgrade, and you're ready to resolve mysterious symptoms, and you're ready to get your energy back, and you're ready to have the health detective look at your whole picture, mind, body, and spirit, through a very new lens that's very comprehensive, then please consider having a 1-hour consult with me. I would be so honored to empower and inspire you around all things health. So please reach out and enjoy my blogs, enjoy my recipes, get on my newsletter so you can get all my free gifts I'm sending out to my beautiful community that's interested in health and vitality. And please use this opportunity during this pandemic to level up your health and your life. I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow. Many, many blessings, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.